All right, welcome, ladies and gentlemen. This is a pilot episode for the power of imagination. It's more than a podcast, it's more than a talk show. It's a place where we come together and share ideas about the science of the mind, manifestation, and the art of living life as a whole. I'm your co host, Free, the creator, and we have our other co-host here. Introduce yourself, Tyrone.
Hey, I'm Ty Stevens from Turning Point Podcast.
All
I'm here
right,
to be here.
all right, cool. So we got 40 minutes or less. So we're gonna kick it off with this right here. You got the book?
I do have the book, man.
Okay, we can't see you yet. We can't see you yet.
Life took me up on her wings and bore me to the top of Mount Youth. Then she beckoned and pointed behind her. I looked back and saw a strange city, from which rose dark smoke of many hues, moving slowly like phantoms. A thin cloud almost hid the city from my gaze. After a moment of silence, I exclaimed, "What is this I see, Life?" And Life answered, "This is the city of the past. Look upon it and ponder." And I gazed upon this wonderful scene, and I saw many objects and sights. Halls built for action, standing giant like beneath the wings of slumber. Temples of talk around which hovered spirits, at once crying in despair and singing songs of hope. I saw churches built by faith and destroyed by doubt. I spied minarets of thought, lifting their spires like the upraised arms of beggars. I saw avenues of desire stretching like rivers through valleys. Storehouses of secrets guarded by sentinels of concealment and pillaged by thieves of disclosure. Towers of strength raised by valor and demolished by fear. Shrines of dreams embellished by slumber and destroyed by wakefulness. Slight huts inhabited by weakness. Mosques of solitude and self-denial. Institutions of learning lighted by intelligence and darkened by ignorance. Taverns of love, where lovers became drunk and emptiness mocked at them. Theaters upon whose boards life acted out its play, and death rounded out life's tragedies. Such is the city of the past, in appearance far away, though in reality nearby, visible, though barely, through the dark clouds. Then life beckoned to me and said, "Follow me, we've tarried here too long." And I replied, "Whither are we going, Life?" And Life said, "We are going to the city of the future." And I said, "Have pity on me, Life. I'm weary, and my feet are bruised, and the strength is gone out of me." But Life replied, "March on, my friend. Tarrying is cowardice. To remain forever gazing upon the city of the past is folly. Behold, the city of the future beckons."
What's your thoughts on the Two Cities, The Tale of Two Cities by Khalil Gibran?
Oh, well, it's definitely two cities, man. I have experienced that, man. The city of the past and the city of the future. It's sometimes it's very hard to get out of the city of the past, man, because you the past is something that you're familiar with, and the future is the unknown. So a lot of times, human beings, are a little skeptical, to say the least, you know, of the unknown, and because they don't know nothing about it. They know they're comfortable especially older people, it's like just like this computer age, man. Like if I learn something on the computer one way, I don't want nobody changing that computer, man, because I got to learn something else about it.
Right on.
And people don't like, a lot of people don't like to keep learning things. But one thing about the future that's consistent is you're going to have to learn. When you stop learning, you perish.
Yeah, I
So
agree. I agree. Well, what stood out to me was there's a few different lines in there. But essentially, I mean, he just articulated the journey of life. And with us talking about the art of living, it's like it's important to look at yourself as if you are a character in a book. Because to me, when Khalil Gibran wrote that, that's how he said, he was speaking. I mean, he's the only writer. Life wasn't actually writing this. You know what I'm saying? This was a man who was able to step outside of himself and see himself in this whole ecosystem and say, I see how things is going. People get stagnant. People fall in love and get drunk off love and fall out of love. Institutions is born out of intelligence and crumble because of ignorance. This is what you see every day. This is what everybody's going to go through. That's why it's important to nurture a child's imagination, because as they get socialized into society, I think that's what makes it hard for them to continue to learn, because people want to always be right. I heard Kanye West, I think it was Kanye West, said if you try to answer everything right, your entire life becomes a test. And how do you feel when it's time to take a test? You're usually anxious, you're nervous, you're worried. You know what I'm saying?
If every time someone asks you a question, you try to say the right answer, your entire life is a test. And when did you have the most anxiety? In grammar school and high school?
No question.
On test day.
No question.
So your entire life become this test. I ain't trying to say the right answer. I am just doing what I feel. My mama said trying is failing. There is no ifs, woulds, coulds, shoulds. It just is. And we just are.
So it was a lot to unpack in there. I wish I had I might have to pull up the poem myself, because I did want to pull out a couple of lines. But go ahead, you want to say something.
yeah, no, I was I was listening to Dr. Ricky L. Jones, a professor of Black Studies over there in Louisville, Kentucky, University of Louisville.
Check out Dr. Ricky Jones and tell me what you think.
I have one constituency. One. Black people. I was told at the University of Louisville, we can't let you be the diversity officer. The word is that you only care about black folk. This is true. It's not that I wish anybody else any harm, but I very openly care about my people because so few others do.
Wow.
All this black-brown coalition y'all been on, Hispanics have let you know. All this white women are on our side, they've let you know. All this is getting better, and I think white America is learning after 2020. They've let you know. So if you would have had Kamala Harris, black people would have had another excuse to not fight back. You should be encouraged that we may be at a moment now where black people will finally unite.
And I was listening to him, and he was speaking about Kamala Harris. And he said, if Kamala Harris had won, people would have went to sleep. So what he's saying is that, people would have stayed in the city of the past. They would have went to sleep. But by Trump winning, now it forces a person to go to the city of the future. Because you see, you ain't got nothing here in the past for you. By Trump winning, you got to think of the past. You got to think of the future. And what is the future? The future is us, as people coming together, and not just as black people, you and me. But the thing about the race situation is, if Black folks don't have, if they don't come together, who wants to join up with somebody that ain't together with themselves?
Yeah.
I mean, let's be realistic about it, you know. So, and we got such a hell of an advantage, man, of coming together, you know. And I ain't talking about everybody because it don't take everybody. Of You got a few billionaires that's running the whole country, you know. So it just shows you they don't take everybody to do nothing, you know. So I particularly like the statement, you know, when I first, when I first picked up this book, you know, Voice of the Master by Khalil Gibran. I mean, I had all the volumes, but I could more or less relate to the voice of the master than I could, you know, the rest of the books, the Tears of Laughter, you know, the Prophet. The Prophet was, as I understood, was one of his most popular books.
Right.
But for some reason, I liked the voice of the master. That's what I could tune into at that time when I picked it up. This is in 1972. And I like when it said, you know, say life, but it said, and life said, where are we going? And it said, we're going to the city of the future. And I said, have pity on me, life. I am weary and my feet are bruised and the strength is gone out of me. But life replied, march on, my friend. Tearing is cowardice. To remain forever glazing upon the city of the past is folly. Behold, the city of the future beckons, you know. Now, I liked it that. I said, oh, wow, you know. And so he had some other things in there that I liked it as well, you know. That was the first book of a prophecy that a prophet had wrote that I had the opportunity to start looking upon, you know. Mhm. And then it led me to many other things, you know. Mhm.
Yeah, well, I agree with that, man. Because I'm just looking at the fact that he was able to sit down and go into that internal chamber and tune in to the voice of the master. And it's like what you're saying. I mean, you know, somebody listening to this right now might be a Trump supporter, so you're not going to agree with what I'm about to say. But to me, you know, Trump represents uh, division and on a higher level, you know, greed, corruption, and wickedness. You know what I'm saying? So for somebody in this time in America that didn't vote for Trump and that don't want Trump to be their leader, well, um, here's the good news. He don't have to be your leader. You know, you got to let that internal compass be your leader, and you got to be able to tune in to the voice of the master all around you. It's like King Solomon said, wisdom cries out in all places. So even in the darkest of times, you can find glimpses of hope and you can find pieces of wisdom. But if you focus on the enemy, well, then you already lost because you playing his game. You can't strategize on how to stand up for what it is that you deem to be righteous and whole and holistic values and the type of world that you want to create. So that's why I think this was a very profound piece of literature because he was able to sit still. It was like he was able to take a bird's eye view of the world and life and just the dichotomy of people that stuck and then implying people that can break through. And that's the people who's able to embrace the unknown and embrace the darkness, understanding that there's always light at the end of the tunnel. And wherever there's darkest, dawn is gonna come. So, you know, I know a lot of people is frustrated, you know what I'm saying, especially people that stand for equality and, you know, uh just a general sense of human kindness and compassion towards one another, whether that be male, female, you know, black, white, brown, red, yellow, you know, whatever it may be. I know a lot of those people are feeling really distraught right now. And I think you're only distraught because you're focusing on the problem instead of looking past the problem to a solution. And like you said, Ty, the only solution is really to be able to politic with people who you do trust and people who you do feel like have sound leadership. There's a Democratic leader in every state, as far as I know. So you got to seek out those people instead of just being concerned with what's happening at the executive branch. As far as I know, you can call any mayor's office, any governor's office, any of your state council, state representative, and you can just ask them, man. Especially, if I was you, I don't live in the states. But if I lived in the states, I just call my state representative, the Democratic one, and say, hey man, what's y'all plan? I'm feeling defeated. I'm a constituent. I voted all Democrat. I voted blue. So I want to know, with Trump being in office or about to be in office, what's the plan, man? How can we feel like hope? And they going to lay it out for you, because that's what a politician does. He politics with the people. But if the people don't engage with the politicians is only going to engage with the people who engage with them, which a lot of times is just the corporations or the lobbyists who got money. But you got that same power. So that's what that reminded me of. You know what I'm saying? Embracing that unknown and understanding that you got personal power, but you got to tune in. If you just constantly distracted by the noise going on outside of your world and your vision for the world, then you might feel defeated. But if you focus and you lock in on that vision, that's what the power of imagination is about. We striving to bring along a few thousand people who got a vision that they want to be able to politic with some people who's also focused on the vision. And God willing, collectively, we can create a force and a movement that can help make the world a better place. You know what I'm saying? I know that sounds lofty, but I mean, in times like this, I think every bit of positivity is useful. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do. And let me jump in here. It's like what politicians supposed to do and what they do is the difference between day and night. You uh, we I like what Dr. wrote the book Power Knowledge, Dr. Claude Anderson. I like Dr. Claude Anderson and a lot of other uh, leaders.
You must build a 5-story building. And this is how you get your wealth and power. Now, the first thing you work on is economics. You started practicing group economics, making your money bounce in your own community 8 to 12 times before it leaves. The second floor is politics. Our people got that backwards. They want to get into politics before they get.
I like his philosophy. You know, let's let's control our economics, so therefore we can hire our politicians. See, because
Right,
politicians are for hire.
right, right.
They go with the highest bidder. They're supposed to be with their constituents. They say that. That's the nice thing, the proper thing to say. But you just look at what's happening now. Look at Elon Musk. You know what I mean? Now that's got to be one of the slickest things that I've ever seen that come down in politics. This man is able, to get with Trump, and if Trump speak with dignitaries all over the world, and president over in Russia, and they commend him on on his victory of being elected for president, and Elon Musk is right there on the conversation.
Yeah,
Now that's remarkable. And he got a position over in Trump's cabinet, and it ain't even official. It ain't nothing that he has to come in and sign up, and say, I reported to work today. He come in, he call, and he do everything when he get ready to do it. I'd have to say that's pretty clever to be able to set that up. But I guess when you got money and you could buy anything. I mean, you could even buy Trump.
yeah, for sure. Especially
And
in America.
so that's what's going on, man. And and we have to come together here now. It's just like doing uh, uh, before we had integration, we had segregation, where we had to stay in our community. You know, I was
Yeah.
born in 1948. You know, I remember in 55 going to the drugstore. I remember having black hospitals, you know, black cleaners and black grocery stores, and because we could, black insurance companies, because we, black dentists and so forth, we couldn't go anywhere else. They didn't even want our money. Nigga, you stay over there. So we had to create amongst ourselves, and we did pretty good.
We're all not old enough to know that yet.
Mm-hmm.
When I was a kid, see, we had something. We didn't have the resources we needed as much as we needed, but we had something. We had communities. We had communities all over America, Harlem, places like that. We had our communities.
Yeah, we only hear about Black Wall Street. Sometimes you hear about Bronzeville in Chicago. I can't remember the town in North Carolina, but we don't hear about that. They were literally those communities all over the country.
That's right. Well, Sweet Auburn and Atlanta, Georgia, that's had all the big hotels, fine restaurants, and everything. We weren't looking for any social integration. You know why? Because we had our own businesses there. And when I say we had a bus line, I'm not talking about 2 or 3 buses. We had over 500 buses.
Wow.
In Winston-Salem, North Carolina. We had that from 1927 up to about 1967. We had in Winston-Salem, we also had our own cab companies. We had our own restaurants. We had our own hotels. Now, we don't kill our buses.
Right.
Social integration.
Right. So integration come along. I remember we had a hotel over in Detroit, in the southwest side of Detroit, and called the Better World. Better World didn't have no air conditioning. You had to let the window up, in the summertime and get some air, and everybody, use that hotel the weekend, with the girl or this, that, and the other. And then, integration stepped in where you could go over to the white folks' neighborhood and go to a Holiday Inn. Wasn't no Holiday Inns in the hood.
Okay.
Wasn't none of that. No Holiday Inns and no Marriotts or none of that kind of stuff was in the hood. It was hotels that we had ourselves. There were no exclusive hotels, but it was a nice, clean little place. And so when when integration come in, then everybody started going outside the neighborhood. They started going to the Holiday Inn, Howard Johnson's, and all them other hotels and stuff, and they start spending their money with them. So what happened to the Better World in the neighborhood? The Better World had to close because of why? It wasn't getting no business. People was going to the white folks' neighborhood. And dude would say, man, you don't know where I was, man, over the weekend. I said, where were you, bro? Man, I was over there in Lincoln Park, which is a white neighborhood. I was over there in Lincoln Park, man, in the Holiday Inn, man, laying back in the air conditioning room with my silk underwear on. I said, no shit. They let you go over there? Yeah. So that took, so consequently, make a long story short, that took all the business. We filleted ourselves, which wasn't nothing wrong with being able to go other places, but don't take your money there. Don't take your money there. Go some places, let them know that we doing you can do some business over here or some. Don't take your money over there, because this is where we build our institutions at. We got to have money and stuff, as scholars to build our institutions. So we got to back the scholars with the money.
Right.
So that's basically, so now we got to come back to first grade. People making a lot of money on the internet. They say, entrepreneurship is fine, but we still spending our money. We ain't got no insurance companies. You know what I'm saying? We paying that high insurance on our cars and on our houses. We ain't got no mortgage companies that financing the house. We paying all these interest. We paying for a house. You hardly never pay for it. We ain't got no grocery stores. We can't even feed ourselves if something happens. But
Right.
yet we talking about entrepreneurship. Yeah, that sounds like a nice word, entrepreneurship. When I was a kid, they just called it self-employed. You're in business for yourself.
Well, it's strong, and it's see the thing is, it's a first step. And now that we done pretty much mastered that first step, because that's what America's all about. People come from all across the world because this is the land of entrepreneurs. You could come start a business here, and then you could be born in the poorest country in the world and die a multimillionaire in America. Now, if you'd have stayed in your hometown, you'd have died still poor. So now that we got access to all that capital, we got to be strategic about how to utilize it. Because what you're saying is right. It ain't nothing wrong with entrepreneurship because that's a first step. First, you got to have some money to be able to circulate some money. So if you can build a business as a minority, black, brown, red, yellow, whatever, in America, and have some income for yourself, that's great. But then what do you do with it? If you just run out to go buy Gucci, Louis, and Prada, you know what I'm saying? And like you said, go spend your money outside of your community. Well, then you doing not only yourself an injustice, not only your ancestors an injustice, but you're doing the greatest injustice to, like he said, the city of the future. Now your kids still ain't gonna have nothing. See, when I studied under Dr. Ricky Jones, you know what he taught me? That the black community, the black family, which is the first institution that the black person has, starts at zero every generation. And when I saw it in reality, I never forget this. I used to live across the street from Evander Holyfield's house, it's Rick Ross' house now. And it came on the news. Evander Holyfield Jr. got busted with 5 pounds of weed. Now I'm sitting across from his daddy got 20 some acres of land, 100 some bedrooms. That house got more bedrooms than any other house in South Georgia. But his son is out here selling weed. Why? Because black people have not been wise collectively. We've been individualized with our income. Therefore, we start back from scratch. Even the millionaires, the only people who ain't starting, that might be why they got Diddy jammed up. Because he one of them black dudes whose kids is already, they ain't never gonna have to work no job. They ain't never gonna have to sell no dope. They ain't never gonna have to do no crime. Because he set up all that shit that the Jews set up and the Chinese people set up for his kids to start off with something. But the average black person, not even just the average black person, even the average black millionaire, kids still start from scratch. They still come out of school not knowing what they're going to do. Whereas the Jews, they come out with a direction.
Well, one thing about that, man, it's like, you know, it's we did it before. So it ain't creating nothing. We need to go back. If you want to know how to get somewhere, go back and see and study people who got somewhere. We had already got somewhere,
Right,
but we got played out of it.
right, right, right.
Okay. So all we have to do is go back and study, how we got there. It's like, in the synagogue, in the Jewish synagogue, the rabbi teaches. So listen, tell the children, the Jewish children, if you want to buy something, there is a Jew somewhere that sells it. You find him.
Right, right, right,
That's
right,
what the rabbi teaches in the synagogue.
right, right, right.
This
That's
is
part
like
of it.
in the synagogue. In other words, this is what God is telling you to
Yeah,
do.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
You know what I'm
yeah.
saying? Now in the black community, a black minister would dare not tell a kid that. For the simple reason You know what I'm saying? From the beginning, when black folks started, when the white folks give blacks the privilege to preach, on the plantation, they better not say nothing like that. So a lot of this here, is still with them. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's how they started. Things get, open up, but still things are the same. So, we have to, at least at this point now, with all the other entrepreneurships and all the other creativity that's going on with business and folks, we got millionaire athletes and movie stars and business people and so forth. If we collectively put this thing together, we could have an institution, where people can go get on. We got an institution of finance. It's like whatever we consume, we got 40 million people. We got 40 million people here in America. Just take toothpaste. We got 40 million people. Most people brush their teeth, I would imagine, And so that's 40 million people, man. Toothpaste is $5 and $10 a tube, man. So at least we don't have to manufacture it. We can go to toothpaste companies and say, well, hey, look here, we got Justin Godfrey organization here, and we got 100,000 names. And listen, we want you all to manufacture some toothpaste for us, and put our name on it, and we'll pay you first when we roll around. Ain't no money up front. Ain't none of that. Because we're buying the toothpaste from them. At least we have to distribute the product. We got washing powder. We got toilet paper.
Well, Todd, let me jump in. Let me go back to the city of the future, because there is plenty of those businesses black owned. There's a whole page that promotes that. So on the next episode, we'll put them up, because the thing is, black folks got those businesses. I know of a black toothpaste company. I know of a black dishwasher company that makes detergent for clothes. All them companies, light bulbs, batteries, tampons, all that. Black people done got, because now the internet done opened it up. But now it's up to us to remind people that, like the Jew in like the rabbi in the synagogue, that, man, you got to make it your religion to go out to the black people first. That's what I tell people in Puerto Rico. When I see somebody black, I say, man, hey, man, I know you conscious, ain't you? Because you coming to my booth. You'd be surprised at how many black people I sell in a town they call it Gringolandia, because so many white folks live there, right? And black folks come in town, and then they not conscious of the fact that, oh, this is a black man over here. Let me see what he got. Matter of fact, I don't even got to support him, but let me see what he got to say. Let me at least ask him for a recommendation on a restaurant or something like that. That's what you was talking about with your man who came in town. You supposed to check in with your people. But what I was going to say is, I believe that in this age of disruption, there is a black pastor out there, and God willing, he hears this video. If you a black pastor that would teach your congregation that it's ordained by God for you to build with your tribe. That's what the Bible is all about. This tribe did this, and this tribe did that, and this tribe got sent over here, and they was in Canaan land. We a tribe. That's what the Jews understand. They are a tribe. So the last thing I'm gonna say for you jump in.
Yeah, they understand that because we taught them. We the first one to taught them.
Right.
You follow what I'm saying? But see, you got such a small percentage of people. The black folks that's in business today get less than 2% of the money that's being issued from black folks.
Yeah, that's the problem. It's not the entrepreneurs
so
in
that
business.
comes from being uneducated.
Right.
Black consumers are uneducated.
Right.
What we got to do, is what we be talking about the Turning Point podcast, as we using our imagination and visualization and affirmations, to set up something that would allow the consumer to say, hey, I'm gonna follow them, until they understand just to do this on their own. But we got to set up something that, folks follow the money. So we have to set up something, to show them, that it's beneficial to do this here. Now, this ain't the place to talk about all that, because when you getting ready to lay your plan down and strategize, what it's going to be, you just don't let the enemy to hear everything.
Right.
Yeah. But anyway,
well, look, Todd, we got 3 minutes left before this recording stops. I want to share this because it's right on point with what you said earlier about how the value of relationships and how Elon basically played his way into the White House by being strategic with relationships. And that's basically what we're talking about, is having relationships with people of like minds that want to build some institutions of power.
30-minute dissertation on EYL University about how to actually network the right way, because it is a science to it. But, we put on Instagram a while ago, relationships can open doors that degrees can't. Mm-hmm. People are like, no, how could you say that? How could you say, well, prime example. This is a prime example. These are the 6 prime examples that none of these people are qualified from an academic standpoint. They are successful. They've built great relationships. They got close to the person that they needed to get close to, and they were rewarded for it. Now, you could have fucking went to John Hopkins and stayed in the law library in NYU and do all of this, wouldn't have got this position because you don't have the relationships. So for me to say that relationships can open doors that degrees can't, this is literally showing you that at the highest level possible. Yes. None of these people got this job because of their college degree or a job interview. They got this job because it was a payback for what they did for Trump. They campaigned for him. They gave him money. They built a relationship with him. They helped him out years ago. And now Linda McMahon, she went from running a small business administration to running education. You just swapping positions. You just need something like, what you got? What you got? You give me something.
Okay, so he made his point. But we'll open up more about that on the next episode of the Power of Imagination program. Any closing remarks? We got 1 minute left, Tyrone.
Yeah. With the power of imagination, it's about you putting something in your mind. If your mind can conceive it, you can achieve it. You have to put it there and you have to put action with it. Faith without works is dead alone. So you have to put action with it. So, Turning Point Podcast, this is Ty Stevens. I'm going to turn it back over to Mr. Godfrey.
Yeah, this is the Power of Imagination with Tyrone Stevens and Justice Godfrey. And we out. Till next time. Peace.
Peace.